what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. It is time for your Wednesday night live stream, the Hump Day edition. I'm joined by fellow lifetime Longhorn, the young prodigy CJ Vogel, and the newest member of the On Texas Football family. Soon I got to stop saying that because he's been with us a while. But my good friend and esteemed colleague, my man Jeff Howe, is joining us as well. Thank you guys for joining us, no matter where you're joining us from. Oh, listening in from OKC, Joseph. We really appreciate that, behind enemy lines. Thank you, CB. Appreciate you guys joining us. We'll talk recruiting on the show. Actually, we'll get into that probably first and foremost. A lot of you guys out there got questions about recruiting. No matter what questions you have, comments, throw them out there. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. You guys know how it works. Super chat, jump to the front of the line. Interrupt the show at any time. Yes, CB, both scathe days until Texas football kicks off against Ohio State. 80 of them. So we'll talk about the greatest 80 in the history of Texas football. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk recruiting. We'll get into Brian Kelly's comments about Arch Manning. Some people thought he was hating on Arch Manning. We'll discuss whether that was the case. Pro Football Focus ranking the Texas secondary as one of the best in the country. We'll get into that conversation as well. And whatever you guys want to talk about, just throw it out there. We'll discuss it. All right. First of all, guys, yes, CB is right. 80 days until Texas kicks off against Ohio State. Who's your greatest number 80? There's a lot of great 80s out there, man. Alex Okafor was an 80, right? Wasn't he Oak on there?
Yeah.
He's for she's.
AO is pretty high up there for me, just because just what he did to that poor right tackle from Oregon State in the bowl game.
That was nasty.
Yeah. I hope that guy is living a productive life, because he had to be on an island by himself. He was on an island by himself. Like, Rod, I know y'all talked about it with Mac on 3rd and Longhorn, because we've said the same thing here. You know, I've said the same thing for years. You kept watching that game thinking, sure, they're going to pull a tight end over there, a chip with a back. They're going to help that kid out, right? No, they just told him, best of luck, go block Alex Okafor one-on-one and
go with God.
Yes, terribly.
No, Oak said, like I said, I worked with Oak at 3rd and Longhorn, and shout out to the crew and Fozzie Whitaker and Jeremy Hills and Oak and Derek Johnson, Nick Shuley. But Oak had said they were all shocked that they did not decide to put a running back over there, an extra tight end and chip. They were just giving him straight up one-on-one matchups versus this dude that he was just whipping all day long. So that dude is still having nightmares about Alex Okafor out there. So
AO was also a baller in high school at Pflugerville. So I'm partial to AO, but I'll tell you what, CJ, I don't know who you got. The best number 80 who like left meat on the bone and a career unfulfilled, man. There's no telling how freaking good Lavelle Pinckney could have been.
Oh, yeah, he was one of them. Yeah.
But Lavelle Pinckney, as it turns out, Lavelle Pinckney's biggest contribution to Texas, I believe, was a friend of Kevin Durant.
Yes, that is true. Yes.
Lavelle Pinckney's one of the reasons why Kevin Durant got to Texas. So all is forgiven, Lavelle. You got KD to the 40s, so you did your part.
Yeah, that is true. I've heard that random story, too. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah. Lavelle Pinckney random, like, was friend of the family of somebody like that. Ended up being a big influence on KD. Yeah, I've heard that story too. That's so wild. That's crazy. So yeah, shout out to all the great 80s. My man Bo Scaife. Shout out to the Wood. One of my best friends in the world, my man Bo Skis, also doing great things. Oh, shout out to All Pro Forums. So if y'all want to know what Bo Skis is doing these days. All Pro Forums. Yeah. Yeah. He's in the recreational and medicinal marijuana business and is doing quite well for himself. It's all legal, by the way, above board. So in case y'all tripping.
Bo's from Colorado, so
yeah. He was there at the ground floor of all of that. So shout out to him and Peyton Manning, apparently. All right, so let's dive into it, gentlemen. Let's talk recruiting first before we get into some questions, and we got some other topics we'll get into. But recruiting, CJ, big recruiting. I don't know. It's a weekday. It feels like that we've been in kind of this for Longhorn fans, that we've been in kind of this recruiting cycle the last couple of weeks where the Longhorns are just closing. I don't know if they're getting closer to closing something else, but there were some big visitors on campus actually today on a Wednesday.
Yeah, absolutely. There were two really big front seven defensive line guys on campus today. Also, stick around. We should have a new Texas commit joining the show here in about 5 or 6 minutes. So stay tuned for that as well. But the two visitors today, the first is 5-star edge rusher Trenton Henderson out of Pensacola Catholic in Florida. A bit of a surprise to get him on campus. It isn't unofficial, so it does save what could be an official visit later in the season. It would be for a game potentially for him. But this is one that's been rumored to happen for quite a while. Texas has been around, and this is kind of the MO for Texas recruiting: hang around the rim, be there around, this recruitment. And they've done just that. Get him on the campus right now. This is a big time visit. And so, of course, he'll have the red carpet laid out for him in his own unofficial. The Texas staff, of course, not dealing with a whole lot right now, specifically not in terms of what will be on tap for this weekend as well. So this was a big visitor on campus for the Longhorns, not entirely known just yet, but he did tweet out a video or a picture, of him on campus in Texas, again, hanging around in that one for now. Now, the other one, 2027 Cedar Hill defensive lineman Jalen Brewster, that's one that Texas should be familiar with right now. He was on campus earlier in the spring for the January 25th Junior Day back in the day as well. You see him here with Steve Sarkisian. This is a national top 10 prospect right now. Will that ranking hold? We'll see, right? There's still a long way to go. But 6'3", 285, 290 pounds right now, plays on the interior line, more 3 tech, maybe a 5 if you get him out to the outside a little bit as well. We'll see where his body goes going into his junior season. But just picked up a Michigan offer, was at Indiana over the weekend, was at Texas A&M yesterday. He continued his little trek down the central Texas area as well, stopped by Texas, saw Steve Sarkisian. But that's a big-time interior defensive lineman. Texas getting out early on that one.
Wow. All right. Good stuff. Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, no, I was just going to mention just some cleanup there. So Trenton Henderson, to CJ's point about official visits, trying to get him in for a game this fall, he's got a Florida OV set up for this weekend, which, you're talking about a kid from Pensacola, so the Gators are very much in the mix for that. He's also got a visit to USC set up for the following weekend. So see when you can get him. Paris Melvin Jr., CJ got an OV scheduled now for Texas on the 20th, canceled his Texas A&M visit, and Jamarian Carlton's a guy that we talked a lot, Rod, coming out of the weekend about, Texas was sitting in a really good spot for him, was supposed to visit Texas A&M on June 20th. He has since canceled that visit. So Texas getting an OV from Paris Melvin Jr., and things continue to trend in a good direction with Jamarian Carlton from Temple.
And one more to note to that, I know there were some questions earlier because Texas A&M took a few hits earlier today. No Carlton, no Paris Melvin. They will still get an official visit from Bryce Perry Wright, the defensive lineman, edge rusher out of Buford, Georgia. So there were maybe some rumors, some murmurs about him not heading out to College Station on June 20th. He told me this afternoon, still in the plans. He's going to make the trip to Austin this weekend, and then he'll be at College Station the weekend following. So that's still on the docket for him. Of course, Texas will get its best crack this weekend, in which it should be another loaded visitor weekend. And Rod, you mentioned they've been closing. 5 commits in the last 72 hours. We'll see what that number gets up to after this weekend as well.
Yeah, that's interesting to see what the previous classes, because they do have these runs at times around this time of year, and I would like to know if this is something that we haven't seen, unprecedented, where you have this many recruits committing in such a short time span. But Sark and his staff definitely, they're working the wheels right now. There's no question about that. I know we actually have a special guest potentially coming up here. I don't like to. I think it's bad luck sometimes to introduce the guest before they actually come on, before we actually have it confirmed, because I worked in radio forever, and so did you, Jeff. And usually you'll tease a big guest your entire show, and then something will happen, and then they can't come on the show. And you're like, I just wasted an hour teasing this great guest, and then people are disappointed they're not coming on. So that's why I don't really do a lot of teasing on the show. But CJ has hooked us up with a very special guest potentially coming on the show, and see, boom, just like that, clockwork, and he's on time. Actually, he's early. I take it back. He's early.
Yeah, absolutely. If he's ready to rock and roll, I'll welcome him to the stage. This is going to be one of the newest Texas commits, Cohen Brown out of Waxahachie, 2026 wide receiver. First and foremost, Cohen, congratulations on your commitment to the University of Texas.
Thank
We're
you.
all excited. This is Rod Babers, Jeff Howe. We're excited to watch it. And let me get your thoughts. Why Texas? Why did you commit to Texas?
Well, first of all, I just like the vision they have. When I came and they showed me the plan they have for me, I loved it. Like, they know what they want to use. They know what they use me for. They know how they want to use me. They had it all together, just showing me how to use it. They, like, Coach Stark compared me to Matthew Golden. If you look at my measurables, I'm the same size as him as he went to the draft. And he said, like, our character and all that is kind of the same. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it makes total sense. About 6 foot, 190 pounds. I know you just ran a 10.69
Yes, sir.
in the spring as well. So you got the speed.
Yes, sir.
And Cohen, I know I've covered you for a few years. I got to see you last spring. I've got to see you about a month ago. And let me tell you, the development that you've gone on since then has been remarkable. I've been told that you're a guy at Waxahachie that they have to kick out of the gym at times.
Yes, sir.
Can you talk a little bit about your work ethic? What kind of fuels you to improve day to day?
Well, I would say, like, especially like coming up as a freshman and you see all these people doing all these big things, and you want that, especially from a kid, you always want that. And it's only one way to get there. Nothing's gonna be handed to you. You have to work. So I just learned at a young age that, like, if I want to get where I want to go, I have to work hard. And I gotta work harder than everybody else, or I'm not gonna get where I want to go. So that's just been feeling me. Like, I gotta be better than him. I gotta work harder than him, because he could be better than me, but if I'm working harder than him, I believe that I'm better than him. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hey, Cohen, let me ask you, because you're one of those guys, man. I remember staying after late in high school, getting that extra work in. What's your favorite kind of drills, man? What drills you doing to get better? Because there's no doubt you've taken a huge leap. What have you focused on specifically that has translated on the field for you and had so much success with?
My speed. So, like, my freshman year, I wasn't the fastest guy ever. So coming into my sophomore year, I started running track. My time started to pop off, and I get in the lab with my speed trainer, Team X Extreme. He's out in Irving. I just started going crazy. I just started grinding with my speed, and that really stands out of my film, I think so.
Yeah.
Cohen, we've seen you line up a lot in the slot. I just want to get an idea of your mentality line up in the slot, because I know you can line up wherever, but
Yes,
when you line up across from a guy playing the nickel and knowing that, like, hey, I can get him on a two-way go. I basically, the game is in your hands. It's under your control at that point. What's the mindset like for you just going up to the line of scrimmage on a given snap, like we're going to see right here, even though you're getting a handoff, but
Yes, sir.
knowing kind of the power in your hands, so to say, playing in the slot?
Well, I would say my work ethic comes in that. Like, I work so hard to where when I line in front of somebody, like, I'm like, he don't work harder than me. This should be a breeze. Like, he not doing what I'm doing. So that mindset, the confidence just there, just how much you work. Yes, sir. And then this year, you'll see me playing a little bit more outside, too. So I won't just be slide. I'll be working in and out. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to go back to your official visit, Cohen, just real quick. I know that
Yes, sir.
it was just this past weekend. It was obviously enough to secure the commitment for Texas, but talk a little bit about your official visit. You know, what kind of stood out? Were you one of the guys that was up on the mic singing karaoke during the Saturday
Yes, sir.
dinner as well? What was the best part for you?
The best part, I would say, interacting with the players. Like, because a player, like the coaches, you know, they real, but, you know, some coaches not going to tell the truth all the time. So when you go on a visit, I would say talk to the players, because they there living it. Like, you're going to be in their shoes in a year or two, right? So I'm talking to the players and getting their understanding. You can tell, like, if you look somebody in the eyes, you can tell when they lying. Everybody was just super real, and they told the truth about everything. Yes, sir.
Which players did you connect with on your visit specifically?
My hosts were Dalen McCutcheon from Lovejoy and Khalid Lockett from Saxe.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Nice.
Lovejoy grad here, but I made to put on my Waxahachie green
Yes,
for
sir.
you, Cohen.
Thank you. Yes, sir. You see, I
Real
got my
quick,
burnt orange on, though.
I like that.
Yes, sir.
I like that one. One more for me, and then Jeff, go ahead, fill it up. But for me, I know it felt like Texas was a little bit late getting into your recruitment. You know, they offered in May. They got you on campus for the official. When did you really start to hear from Coach Jackson? And when did you know, okay, Texas is a school that if they offer, if they pursue, if they recruit me, I could see myself ending up there?
Yes, sir. So I could say Texas, like growing up, living in Texas, who wouldn't be a Texas fan? Like, it's always been one of my dream schools. And me and Coach Jack started communicating. I went to one of the UTS game. I went to the UTS game in August. No, not August. But during the football season, I went to a game. We've been communicating since then. They just never pulled the trigger. And, you know, I'm just going to keep working. I'm not going to get personal. I'm just going to keep getting better to see what I can do to get this offer. So when it finally came, I was just super excited. Like, it came. I wasn't gonna be like, what's the word? Like petty, act like a little kid, you
Yeah.
know. Like it came. It's on God's timing. It don't matter when it came. All that matters is it just came, and I was just super happy.
Cohen, I don't know if you watch a ton of NFL, you watch a ton of college football, but are there any receivers you pat in your game after? Because just watching the tape, I mean, even how they use you, Waxahachie, there's a little bit of Debo Samuel in there just in terms of the versatility, slot guy, can get the ball on handoffs. Anybody you pat on your game after?
Debo Samuel is definitely one of them. I want to say Justin Jefferson. I mean, not Jamar Chase. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I like that. I like that. Who's the best player you think you went up against?
So I played defense this year too.
Okay.
So guy, do you want to hear defense or offense?
Either one. Best ball player you face. Period.
So I gotta give him his credit. DeCorian Moore at Duncanville. He at Oregon right now. Yes, sir. Probably the toughest player I ever played. Like, it's a lot of people that got that talk and you play against them. Yeah. And then you play against them, you see like they really that good. Yeah, he one of them.
You just broke the hearts of just about everybody in the chat saying DeCorian's name, but you're absolutely right. Heck of a ball player right there. Cohen, we won't keep it too much longer, but I do want to bring up this super chat from Joshy Manning. Are you up to speed with this real quick? It's 7:35, and do you know what to fill in the blank with right here?
No, sir.
Oh boy, you will learn. You will learn. Sorry to put you on the spot like this.
Yes, sir.
The chat will certainly fill it up. It's 36 right now, Rod B, and OU still sucks, don't they?
Damn right they do, and they always will. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Right. He got plenty of time for it. No doubt about that.
Cole, real quick, I know you were committed to SC, and now you're committed to Texas. The draw of being able to stay in your home state and play in the SEC, how big of a deal was that for you?
A huge deal, Coach. Like, growing up, I've always wanted to play in the SEC. Like, it's been a huge dream. And when Texas moved into the SEC, like they down the street, I don't got to go too far, worry about being homesick. It was just a dream come true, and I got this offer and was able to commit.
Hey, can you tell me real quick what you like about Coach Jackson?
I like how he can develop players. Like, it's proven. Everybody on his staff can, but he knows how to develop somebody and push to the next level. And you can really connect with him. Like, he's not one of them coaches like that like you can't connect with. He's just like he's one of them like you can get like this with.
Yeah.
Nice. So he can be like a father figure. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Cohen, will you be back up at Texas in the summer at any point?
I think I'll be there next week, but I can keep in touch with you.
Absolutely. Well, looking forward to seeing you once again, Cohen. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And one last time before you go, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank y'all.
Hey, thank you, bro.
Yes, sir.
Wow. That's lifetime Longhorn, Cohen Brown, and I gotta tell you, I love his attitude, man.
Yeah.
You can definitely tell if you're a coach why meeting that young man after watching the film will give you even more added incentive to want to close that deal. He's got a great energy and vibe about him.
And that's absolutely what happened too, Rod.
Yeah.
It was the first meeting with Steve Sarkisian. He was sitting down with Coach Jackson and just getting to talk to him and hear about the work ethic and hear about, hey, I'm not going to be outworked by anybody on either side of the ball. Yeah, it's easy to green light a guy like that, and that's exactly what Texas did this past weekend. And that kind of energy, we talk about culture, that kind of energy is certainly contagious. So I'm really excited to see where he continues to develop because, look, he's come a long way, since middle school into his sophomore year when I first laid eyes on him and now to committing to Texas. That's quite the developmental path right there. And there's no telling how much further he could go at 6 foot, 190, 193 pounds, already running 10.6. Yeah.
And because I love that comment, confident by Joshi, confident, not cocky. Yeah. I need that confidence to, I need to feel it. I need to see it. I need to, as a, because for an athlete, elite athlete, I don't want you to be arrogant or cocky. I get that. But you do need to have this irrational belief in yourself like that. And I don't need to have it in you, but you need to have it in yourself. And that definitely comes through when you talk to him. You can hear it. And the confidence comes from the work. Like he literally said, like, no, I'm confident because, and I understood it. I remember thinking to myself while I'm either watching film late, he gives off Jerry vibe, my favorite Jerry Rice quote, I'm going to do today what others won't. So tomorrow I can do what others can't. Damn, Marco, that's good.
That's a good pull.
That's a damn good quote right there. Oh, that's damn. Because essentially, I actually was able to relate to it. That I'm gonna put in the extra work after practice in the film room. I know my opponent's not going to put in the work I'm going to put in.
Yeah.
I know they're not going to watch 5 to 6 hours of film. They're going to watch 2. And you know what? That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Watch 2 hours of film. But I'm going to watch 3 times the amount of film that he watches. I'm going to stay after practice and perfect my hand placement and my footwork an extra, hour after practice. Like that, it matters. And even if I don't know what they're doing, I'm assuming what they're doing. This is a mind game I play with myself. But when it comes time to play the game, it does give me confidence that I'm as prepared as I can be. And I put in more work than that guy across from me. So not only am I better, but I put in more work. So I deserve the victory. Yeah. I deserve to win. And I understand exactly what he was saying. It's a great attitude to have, that I have to outwork my opponent each and every day. And if I do that, then I'll be the best. But you have no idea how much your opponent is working. That's the misery of it. You have no idea, but you got to put in. How much you going to put in? You going to put in 2 hours? Well, everybody puts in 2 hours. How about 7 to 8? Your opponents don't do that. That's what the Kobe Bryant kind of Michael Jordan philosophy about it, right? Like Kobe Bryant was about things like, I can shoot. If I shoot 100 shots, yeah, somebody could do that. But if I shoot 300 shots in a day, there's no way somebody's going to do that, because that's insane. That kind of commitment and devotion is irrational, and that's what you need to have to be great.
Michael Irvin used to famously talk about he would do 2 workouts a day. He would do Jerry Rice's workout, and he would do Darryl Green's workout. And the thought process was, if I can do the best wide receivers workout, and then I go do the best DBs workout, there's no way anybody's going to outwork me.
Yep. I think everybody has their own version of it. I love the Jerry Rice quote.
The last thing I'll add on Cohen is, hey, he looks great in a Texas uniform. If you haven't seen it yet, his Instagram, he posted a number of photos from his official visit last week. And if you want to go see it, K0H3N_. Woo, he fills up the jersey just fine, just like a Matthew Golden did. And there's still plenty of room to grow. So I love the mentality. I love the frame. And now the intangibles are going to be shown off as well going into a senior year. Thank you, Matthew. But he looks good. He's a guy that I think Texas is going to like a lot. And that 3-star rating to me, throw it out the window. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm glad Sark and company do their own evals and don't go off recruiting rankings, because, I mean, we've seen there's been some staffs that have done that before, and it hasn't worked out well. But, Rod, you talk about that irrational confidence. He needs it, especially that wide receiver room he's about to step into.
Yeah, exactly. You need it for a lot of reasons. You're right. That's a great point. You need it to win the competition in that room so you can see the field and you can win that job. But you need it when you step on the field and going up against your opponent, that irrational confidence that I've put in the work. There's not whether it's radio or whether it's football, there's nothing like stepping on the field and realizing you're not prepared. It is a nightmare situation, whether it's an open mic or whether it's on a football field. And so you want to be as prepared as you can possibly be. So I love the attitude of the young man. I can see why Texas thought he was a home run pickup. I agree with it. All right, let's thank a sponsor before we get into some more topics here and dive into some of the questions. Thank you guys for the questions. Let's thank our friends over at Flat Creek Estate Winery. FlatCreekEstate.com. Flat Creek, just minutes from downtown Austin, folks, and they've won award after award this year for their vintage wine, Super Texan. Super Texan is now available at your local Specs. They also have, I saw a display at our local Central Market here in Austin. I've actually got a chance to visit the grounds there at Flat Creek Estate, and it is amazing. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. You'll love it. It's perfect for a day date with your significant other or a weekend getaway with your significant other. So when you're talking about the premium wines they're producing, and I love the Super Texan. I love the Pinot Grigio is really good. The Rosé is very refreshing. They have there, whether you're talking about just going to a place that has a kind of magical ambiance, that can fit any occasion that you have in mind. We actually had a member of the On Texas football family get engaged at Flat Creek Estate Winery. So no matter what you have in mind, they can accommodate you. It's Flat Creek Estate Winery, not only producing some of the best wines on the market, but also it is a gorgeous venue with barbecues and wine tastings every single weekend. That's flatcreekestate.com. I really appreciate them and their ongoing support and sponsorship of On Texas football and sponsoring our Wednesday live stream. All right, let's get to some of the questions here. Joshi, Cohen. Yeah, think about Cohen saying, OU sucks. I knew he wasn't going to know it. I knew he wasn't going to. And this is why. This is good. This is a good conversation to have. Because part of the recruiting pitch for Oklahoma is definitely how much you hate Texas. Like it's all like then they saw the picture of Brent Venables. I forgot who the recruit is, and I'm not hating on the recruit. Well, he's got the horns down, right? It's just kind of part of it. And I remember when Mac recruited me, he's like, "Hey man, we got to beat A&M. We got to beat Oklahoma. I need you to program that in your head right now. If you come to Texas, that's just part of the mission. We come to win a national title, but part of that road to win a national title, we gotta beat A&M. We got to beat Oklahoma." Right. And so it was part of it, but it didn't feel like it was, it wasn't too much or overwhelmingly the sales pitch. I will say, I think for Oklahoma, I don't know, when you put it out there on social media, the horns down, whatever, even with recruits, it does feel like to me, man, that is your rival. But man, it seems like maybe it's too much of the recruiting pitch if they got the recruits doing it. So I knew he wouldn't do it because I don't think Sark brings that up. Like, I think he talks about, the mission, national title, win the SEC. Part of that is beating your rivals. Now you got 3 of them in the SEC. But, I guess there's no way to really diss Oklahoma in a social media post other than saying they suck or something like that. And maybe Texas would never do that. But you see way more of Oklahoma's posts about how Texas sucks openly, even with recruiting, and in addition to their players, than you see from the Texas side. Texas talks their own trash, I agree, but it's more about around the time of the game rather than just like randomly throughout the year, just a Texas diss, which I get. Diss Texas. Horns down. I love the horns down. It's the best free marketing in all of sports, period, college or pro. But I don't think he would know that because I don't know if that is programmed early in those guys' mind and, OU sucks and all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know if it is as early as it is for the Oklahoma guys.
I think,
and maybe him too. Maybe.
I think part of it is I hear a lot of guys at Texas say this, Metroplex guys specifically, once they go to the game as a recruit, and Texas will be the designated home team this year, so they'll get to distribute the tickets. So Cohen will be able to go to the game. They get it once they go to the game and understand it. I think that's a really big part of it.
That's a good point.
And if you talk about clapping back, Rod, I love Jaday's clap back where it doesn't get much better than posing with the Thorpe Award in front of their freaking stadium. So it's
a classy clap back right there. It's classy. It was subtle. It was discreet. And it really upset. It really upset Sooner fans out there. Yeah, no, we got to take shots at each other. It's rivals. We're supposed to do it. I get it. But I don't know. It seems like Sark isn't going to take that. He's going to take the high road when it comes to a lot of that stuff. Well, and Venables is like, hell no, throwing the horns down. It's like, I get it. Because he's doing it for his people. It ain't for us. It's for his people want to see him do that. I get it. But Sark is taking the high road when it comes to that stuff. And that's why I know, and like you said, Jeff, it's probably when you go to the game, you get it. I didn't go to my first Texas OU game until I played in one.
Yeah.
And then I did get it. And I was like, oh, they do suck. And then you got it, and you kind of understand it. And then once you're a senior, then it's full-blown hatred.
One of the things I love hearing every year is, you get to the point where kids go on official visits, they go on unofficials, they pose with their photos with each coach, right? And, you'll get guys recruited by Oklahoma who are on their visits, and they try to hit them with the horns down, right? We're talking about it for a reason.
Yeah.
But guys that are recruited by Texas or guys that are recruited and like Texas, they'll more times than not hit them with a, hey, man, you got another hand sign? I don't want to do that. I kind of like Texas, right? I want to be recruited by Texas. I don't want this image floating out. We hear photos all the time about guys coming off of visits and and, kind of denying what was or could be their first kind of initial pose is sitting up there saying,
Yeah.
oh, come on, hit the pose. And, they don't. Because I think at this point, especially in recruiting, and Splendid Daddy, we're going to get to your super chat here real quick. There's one major difference in the way that Oklahoma and Texas are recruiting right now. Texas is recruiting nationally, and kids are listening. Oklahoma's always kind of had a national presence for recruiting, but right now kids aren't listening. And you see that by this tweet here, kind of highlighting where their class is at the moment. Tell me if you've ever seen an Oklahoma class look like this before. And I know that it's only June 11th, and I know things are going to change, but this is not the Oklahoma recruiting that I remember when you had the number one quarterback coming in every year, when you had, a slew of 5-star guys wanting to join the fold. Your offensive line group was always up amongst the best in the country. This is a new Oklahoma right now, and I think Texas fans are enjoying it.
This is the difference that I see. Even when Texas has been down, you're still the flagship school in a state that is a very talent-rich state between your two major metro areas, right, with the Metroplex and Greater Houston. Mm-hmm. Texas is always going to get players, right? They are. Even in the down years, Texas gets players. Are they going to get enough difference makers to, if they're down, turn around their fortunes? That remains to be seen, but that's a big part of it. Oklahoma doesn't have that base in their backyard. They have to recruit nationally, and we're finding out now, like, Oklahoma's seeing what it's like in some years. We saw this like at the end of Mack and at the end of Charlie Strong and at the end of Tom Herman. Kids know when there's instability in your program, and they know, like, hey, if you commit to Oklahoma, Brent Venables may not be the coach when you get to campus.
Right.
So Oklahoma, it's legitimately been a generation since Oklahoma's had to deal with this, where you've got coach legitimately coaching for his job this season and recruits really uncertain about the future of your program. Like, this is uncharted territory for like a generation of OU fans.
Yeah. And it feels like, I don't know, with CJ talking about how they're not bringing in some of the kind of big time elite blue chip recruits, or at least they're not having those guys commit. It seems like the strategy, and maybe I'm way off here, this is my theory, that they're trying to find value picks in recruiting, that they don't have to pay a ton of money for in NIL. And that's why you got a lot of the 3-star guys, but guys that actually, and we talked about this with Texas and actually praised Texas for it before they blow up and get their blue chip status. Let's get on them early before they hit their blue chip status. So I think that's what they're with Matt Nagy and now the new GM. I think that's what they're trying to do: find value, number one, in the NIL market, but also finding guys that are either hidden gems or before they blow up. Because once you hit blue chip status, it costs you more money. It's just that simple. That's the world we live in. Now, things will change a little bit with the revenue sharing and house settlement, but right now that's the name of the game. And I wonder if that's what they're trying to do, because they're not necessarily getting the big splashes in recruiting right now. But I think they have a strategy. It's pretty obvious. That's why they hired a new front office. We saw that. I think their strategy may be right now. There's a ton of misevaluations in football, period. Draft, look at the NFL draft. Mm-hmm. Look at college too. Just misevals, guys. You were just off in that player. Hell, man, go look at the Heisman ceremony, right? There are guys like Cam Scatterbo and Cam Ward, those kind of guys. I think they're banking on, can we find more of those? Can we find more of the guys that would have started at a lower level and then would have made their way already to the power to the Power 4 level, or at a lower Power 4 program that would have ended up transferring and upgrading their status as a player? And I think that's what they're kind of trying to do. That's just my theory.
The interesting dynamic at OU too, CJ, I don't know where you come out on this, is whether Brent Venables is the head coach beyond the 25 season. Jim Nagy's not going anywhere. Like, Joe Castiglione and the powers that be at OU have made it very clear, like, he's pretty much running the program from personnel decisions and things of that nature. So whether Venables is a coach or not, Jim Nagy's going to be there. So, I mean, that's out there. Everybody knows it. It's just another sign of, okay, well, if that's the case, does this administration really believe in this head coach? to go hire a GM to basically run the program, whether he's here or not. So it's just another piece, man. Look, I've said this every time we talked about Oklahoma. Like I've seen this movie before, right? We've been here with Texas too many times during the dark ages. I just mentioned it, like the end of Mac, the end of Charlie, the end of Herman. Like this is what life was like for Texas. Oklahoma just hasn't been here in a really long time.
They haven't, and it's a new era, though, right? It'd be different if we were dealing with the same landscape of college sports. We're not, and I do wonder, to JW Crunch's point, do they have enough sugar daddies? Like, do they have enough just straight up money and resources? Like Texas Tech is like Texas Tech and SMU. This is what he says. JW Crunch. It's not Texas that's killing Oklahoma. It's the Texas Tech of the world and the SMUs of the world that's doing the heavy lifting. Do they have that kind of backing? Like SMU is basically like, F it. We got so much money. We won't even need to take the television rights fees when we first get in. We can give you a discount and go a few years without that because we got so much money. Like money ain't our issue. It's other people's issue, but it ain't our issue. And Texas Tech right now, they're same thing, right? Was it Cody Campbell, the guy's name? Like they got sugar daddies. And that are willing to straight up fund the program. Texas has resources, but they also have sugar daddies and sugar mamas on top of the resources. Who's the sugar daddy? Like for Oklahoma. Like T-Boone Pickens was famously Oklahoma State sugar daddy. And when T-Boone went away, God bless him and rest his soul, Oklahoma State, they can't really compete in this day and age, other than having a really good coach in Mike Gundy. But to do it consistently, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
It really is how much money you got.
We saw it, it's different now with Oklahoma. It's more about, do you have the resources? We saw it with Texas on the same level. The end of Mac Brown's run, we saw it was strictly on-field performance related, but it was like, man, you used to have to worry about recruiting the best players in Texas against, Oklahoma and A&M. Maybe LSU would come in and get one, but A&M moving to the SEC, now Alabama and LSU and Tennessee and Florida and Georgia, they're all able to come in out of the state of Texas because it's in the SEC footprint. So recruiting the top prospects got hard. Then that Mac Brown staff was not the best that evaluated. They didn't evaluate or develop talent very well at the end. Now all of a sudden, man, you're having to fight like Gary Patterson at TCU and Art Briles and Baylor and Texas Tech. Like now you didn't even think about having to fight those kinds of schools for recruits, but that was the reality that Texas lived in for a while.
Yep. Now I remember that. I mean, basically Mac, when he first got there, he was only getting in recruiting battles with A&M in the state and then the big dogs outside the state that wanted to come in. And you're right. As it went on, he kind of lost. The sales pitch for Mac was simple. I know we'll move on. I won't dwell on Mac too much. Was we're the best football program in the state of Texas, and we win more games, and we got the best lifestyle and the best support for student athletes in the state of Texas. And they were right forever. And then toward the end of Mac's tenure, they weren't necessarily the best football program. They didn't have the best facilities necessarily in the state every time. All those things kind of came back to home and make the sales pitch a little bit tougher. All right.
I'll say one more thing, right? Because somebody made a really good point. I'm trying to find it in the chat, but it might have been JW Crunch, but I forget. But somebody asked, would Oklahoma get it turned around if Bob Stoops came back? At some point, Alabama did this with Bear Bryant. USC ran through, Sark and Lane Kiffin and the Pete Carroll guys. At some point, you have to turn the page and quit trying to recapture what you were 10, 15 years ago. Buck Travis, thank you, Matthew, for pulling that up. At some point, you got to stop thinking, hey, we can regain what we were. It's a different world than it was when Bob Stoops was running things. Yeah. So at some point, you just got to break away from that. It's tough. And there's no right or wrong, but you can't just hope to keep going back to that well and that well is going to provide. Yeah.
And don't forget, Bob Stoops dominated the SEC. Dominated the Big 12. Now you're in the SEC. So he dominated the Big 12. And when he won the national title, it was in his second year. Remember, those were guys he inherited. Bob Stoops did a hell of a job recruiting and turned, Oklahoma into a dominant college football program. But they couldn't replicate what he did in that second year in winning a national title because it was so unique. He came in with a vision. The air raid offense with his defense. He had visualized it and it was like, man, I can't stop that damn air raid. if I get the right athletes in that air raid offense with my defense, we'll win a lot of games, and we may win it all. He knew that. And that's how unique it was. I still don't. You haven't had an air raid offense win a national title since, have you? Like, you know what I mean? The air raid offense don't win like that. Bob Stoops figured it out. He did it. He was like, "No, I'm gonna make the air raid a powerhouse like offense and philosophy where you can win a national title with." And nobody's been able to replicate it since. Not even him.
Yeah. Tried to with Lincoln Riley, and he almost got there, but didn't quite get over him. No, I think there's something to take away too. Sark talks about this a lot, a conversation that he and Pete Carroll had during Sark's first year at Texas when, things aren't going well and Sark's questioned things, and Pete Carroll said, "Hey, you can do what they've always done there, and maybe you'll get results, but you'll never be where you want that program to be, or you can do it your own way and see if you can get results doing something that they haven't done in a while. Try to do it a different way. Try to doing it your way." Sark did it his way, and I think everybody in the chat, everybody watching, the three of us, I think we could say we're pretty pleased so far with how Sark's gone about it and how Sark's done it. So, and there's just, you got to have, the coach has to have unwavering support from the administration and the powers that be. And he's got to have what he needs to see that vision through. I don't know what Brent Venables' vision for OU football is, other than when you get to the point where he's at, where your vision has more to do with survival than prosperity. It's a dangerous place to be, man. It's not a fun place to be.
Yep. All right, let's thank another sponsor before we move on. We'll take some questions here. Thank our friends over at Von Lane. Before we move on here, folks, I know it's a bit of a hassle trying to get to all the major Texas cities, trying to get to Houston, trying to get to DFW, trying to get to San Antonio or Austin. It can be a bit of a pain and it's a bit of a toss-up, right? Do you deal with the airport chaos and delayed flights and all the stress of dealing with any type of an airport experience, or do you take your chance behind the wheel, battling traffic and road rage and losing an entire day of productivity? Well, now there's a third option, and it's better in every way. You arrive at a luxury hotel terminal, no TSA lines, no long-term parking lots, just a seamless boarding experience that takes minutes, not hours. That's what Von Lane is all about. You will settle into a plush leather seat. You have a hot towel, pillow, and blanket at arm's reach. Your attendant offers complimentary snacks and beverages, and on select trips, a full meal. And if you need to relax, you can lean back and enjoy the ride. But if you want to stay productive, there's high-speed Wi-Fi and power at every seat. And while you're unplugging or powering through, the Von Lane team, they're monitoring traffic in real time, using smarter routes and efficient detours to keep your trip smooth and on schedule. And now is the perfect time to plan your fall travel. Booking is open through September. So whether you're headed to a college football game, like a lot of you will be, or a weekend getaway, or a business trip that needs to be done right, Von Lane makes the journey part of the reward. Von Lane serves Austin, Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, San Antonio, and in the Southeast, Atlanta, Nashville, and Memphis as well. Visit vonlane.com. That's VONLANE.com. Use the code OTF25 and you'll save $20 off your first ride with Von Lane. Von Lane, elevated regional bus transportation. I've taken the Von Lane several times myself to Houston to visit family, and to DFW on business. My wife has taken it. She loves it. I love it. You'll love it too. I guarantee you that. So try the Von Lane, vonlane.com whenever you want to travel to any of the major Texas cities, and you can thank me later, or just thank Von Lane later. All right, let's get to some of the questions here. Splendid Daddy throws out, if it doesn't work out for Riley, what's next? OC? Yeah, he can get an OC job anywhere he wants, like college or pro. He probably can get another head coach. He probably can do what Cliff Kingsbury did. It's rare, but to literally get fired and like fail forward and get a job in the league or get another head coaching job, like it's hard to do that. You got to be good looking and help as Cliff Kingsbury, but you got to be known as a quarterback guru, quarterback nurturer, whatever, and as an offensive savant or an offensive genius. Lincoln Riley's got both of those. Yes, his barbecue sucks, but he's got both of those tags and labels. So the truth is, there's like a 25% chance he gets fired there and somebody hires him immediately to be a head coach. But there's a 100% chance that if he wants to be an OC, there's like 80% of teams in the NFL or college that would fire their OC on the spot to hire Lincoln Riley for a record amount to make him the highest paid OC in all of the NFL or college. I truly believe that.
Yeah, I'll give Lincoln Riley a puncher's chance to get it turned around at SC, and that sounds kind of disrespectful because SC's a great program historically. But cutting the cord with Benny Wiley finally.
Bingo.
I wonder, CJ, I don't know if you and I have talked about that. I don't recall, but that's been my thing with Lincoln Riley. Like, as long as you're attached to Benny Wiley, it's kind of like going back to Bob Stoops at his time at OU. I believe this, but when I heard guys, I had guys like Tommy Harris and Joaquin Iglesias tell me this when Bob Stoops retired. Look, man, as long as Jerry Schmidt's still the strength conditioning coach, OU football's going to be fine, because he set the mentality that there was – Rod, you played against those Bob Stoops teams. There's a different mentality those teams had, and that was all from Jerry Schmidt. Most of it had to do from Jerry Schmidt in the offseason program. We saw it at Texas with Benny Wiley. It didn't work, and I felt like as long as Lincoln Riley was attached to Benny Wiley, he's just going to keep spinning his wheels. But now that he's moved on and cut the cord, I want to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And I know, like, as long as Alex Grinch was on the sideline calling plays for any Lincoln Riley team, you just couldn't ever take him serious because it was disgusting. It was malpractice on the defensive side of the ball, and we saw it specifically whenever they had Baker Mayfield, Joe Mixon, all of those wide receivers, Mark Andrews, right? You had Cody Ford, you had Creed Humphreys. You had a phenomenal run of offensive talent, and you just had the most incompetent defenses year in, year out. And then you go to USC, and it was even worse.
Yeah.
Now you finally cut the cord with Benny Wiley. You finally cut the cord with Alex Grinch. You bring in D'Anton Lynn, who had a phenomenal front seven at UCLA back-to-back years. I'm going to give USC another chance. And, look, I don't know if they have the quarterback level of play that they've normally had under a Lincoln system, but look, I have to give him a chance because finally I feel like he's breaking the cuffs off saying I'm free, so we'll see.
I like that. All right, good question. Oh, how about this one for Marco? I saw this question, I think, a couple of days ago in the chat. I'm glad Marco brought it back. I'll throw this to you, Jeff, because I think it's a good one. If Sark were to give up play calling duties and he could hire any former UT offensive coordinator, who would he get?
Not Sean Watson. That's my answer. Anybody but Sean Watson.
That's an easy answer.
Because Sark loves 12 personnel, and because from when he was at Texas, he wasn't there very long. Just like how much Brian Harsin was
good.
All about football.
That's good.
I think they could vibe on just hey, we ain't about any BS or nothing. It's just all about ball. I think I'd like to see Brian Harsin, but man, if you're just telling me, I'll take 2010 Greg Davis over Sean Watson. Like, that's as long as it's not Sean Watson, I'll trust Sark to go win some ball games.
All right, that's a good answer. Actually, I didn't even think about that. I like that answer, Jeff. That's damn good.
Joseph Curtis, no, that's a big no-go on Herb Hand. Nice guy, nice man. I want Herb Hand nowhere near the Texas offensive line again. Kyle Flood's doing a great job.
He is doing a great job. He's real good. Okay, Daniel with a super chat. Daniel, I apologize. I saw the super chat a little bit late, so I apologize. I didn't get to it earlier, but thank you very much for the super chat. It says, call your shot over under final recruiting ranking. 3.5. Where are you going over under here for Texas? CJ.
Texas will be 1, 2, or 3. They'll be in that group, and they're off to a hot start. Will they have the highest composite rating? Probably not. That's what happens when you take a long snapper, kicker, and a punter all in the same year. It's going to drag you down quite a bit. But I do think that they're in for the right guys. And, I could go down the list of 5-star level guys that are on campus or will be this weekend, right? We've talked about it. Lamar Brown on campus last weekend. He's the number 1 defensive lineman in the country. He's coming back June 18th and 19th. Devon Benjamin, to me, is one of the top safeties in the country. I think he's tremendous. Texas right in the fight there. Then you look at this upcoming weekend. Felix Ojo, a 5-star guy. Bryce Perry, right on that cusp of a top 30, top 40 guy. Dre Quinn, another one. And then Xavier Griffin, I think, is a 5-star linebacker all the way through. That kid is tremendous. And you're fighting the best of the best in the SEC for him. That's Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Miami in the mix. Look, you're fighting for the right guys. And knowing where Texas is right now, finally being able to capitalize on back-to-back Final Four appearances, working hand in hand with being one of the, the forefront NIL teams in all of college football as well. To me, it's a no-brainer that they're going to be a top 5 team. How high will the ceiling be? I'll go ahead and say top 3 is the floor for me.
CJ, I don't want to give an over-under because you hit on something that I think everybody needs to hear. Get it embroidered on a throw pillow, whatever you want to do. Texas is in the fight for the right guys. They're in the fight for guys in that SEC footprint that can win you a national championship. Guys along the line of scrimmage, dynamic playmakers on speed and playmaking, building on the perimeter. Look, I've seen plenty of recruiting cycles where Texas had top 10, top 5 classes, and it was kind of empty calories. Yeah, you got some highly ranked guys, but you're deficient in multiple positions. You go look at that go look at the recruiting board, look at the multiple shows we've done that we'll continue to do when we break it down position by position. You've got blue chip difference makers at every position on the board. That hadn't always been the case. Texas is recruiting at a level right now where we've expected and come to expect Ohio State and Alabama and Georgia, schools like that to recruit. That's where Texas is right now. Anybody that's anti-Texas or anti-Sark or Aggies or Sooners out there, you can deny that all you want.
Yeah.
But the truth is going to slap you right in the face because that's reality. Texas is in the mix for the very best players in the country right now.
Yeah, real quick, if we could segue to Tucker's super chat as well. Thank you,
do it. Perfect.
Daniel and Tucker, for the super chats. He says, with a kicker, punter, and snapper committed, how big could the class get? To me, it's about 25, probably a good size. And look, that's only 22 position players. That might feel low. And I say that because, the spots opening up from this senior class won't be a lot, right? There aren't many departing seniors in this senior class. I think it's only about 14 or 15. On top of that, the question then becomes how many of those juniors that are going to be draft eligible, how many depart for the NFL? Are we for sure right now? How many guys? Probably not, right? I think we all agree Anthony Hill, probably gone. Manny Muhammad, probably gone. But a Derek Williams, does he have a strong enough season after the torn ACL? Trevor Gooseby, does he impress enough in just perhaps 1 year starting to depart? DeAndre Moore, does he put up enough production and opportunity to depart after 3 years? You're not looking at a full class leaving after this upcoming year, which kind of puts your 26 class in tighter numbers. So the other thing I wanted to add there is Jedi Master Bebo's comment. Could Texas walk away with 7 offensive linemen in this class? Look, right now they probably lead for 7 guys.
Wow.
And I think that's the biggest thing is you got 2 guys in the fold. You got a great floor for this group. And then it comes down to Sam Rosenborough coming in this week, Zayden Crimpin coming in this week, Felix Ojo, John Turntine. Do they make a big-time run for Malachi Lee, who visited last week? I think 7 is realistic, but then you crunch the numbers. You say, okay, 5 is probably the number that you have to get to. And that means a guy that Texas probably leads for right now doesn't end up in the class. So I say 5 is probably what you're looking at offensive line-wise for the 26 class.
Good stuff, CJ.
Yeah, I'll add to on the offensive line, like you said, CJ. There's a reason why Samuel Roseboro moved his visit up to this weekend. Man, if you want to be a part of this Texas O-line class, you better make your reservation here pretty quick because they're running out of spots. Like there are some guys they'll save spots for. Defensive line, you can say the same thing. Like I think that's why Corey Wells pulled the trigger. Dylan Berryman pulled the trigger when he did because Texas is going to save a spot for Lamar Brown. They'll save a spot for John Turntine, Felix Ojo. Like those guys are good enough. So if you want to get in, you better get in. Hey, Jedi Master Bevo, can we put his comment back up real quick? Because I gotta give a shout out. Jedi Master Bevo, today, my brother and I were having lunch. Shout out to Pluckers in San Marcos. We were having lunch there. Jedi Master Bevo met his brother and his nephew Jax, big Longhorn fan. Jaden Blue is his guy because he met Jaden before the Florida game last year. So Brian and Jack's a couple of good Longhorns. Jedi Master Bevo, shout out to you. So
Great
a
family.
a big hookup from the OTF family to your family, Jedi Master Bevo.
Absolutely.
Love that. By the way, Jaden Blue's got a chance to blow up this year, depending on what happens to that Cowboys backfield. All right, let's thank another one of our sponsors before we move on. We'll answer some more questions before we end our live stream. Let's thank our friends over at Advanced Pain Care with a message from two legendary lifetime Longhorns, Colt McCoy and Vince Young.
Pros know the pain stops here.
Physical therapy helps me as an athlete then and now. And do I still need therapy? Yes. Advanced Pain Care helps with that.
Injuries will stack up. They'll add up. You can't let those injuries get you down, and Advanced Pain Care has been very helpful for me.
We can help with whatever's got you down, from nerve damage to our spinal cord stimulator. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Same-day appointments available.
Advanced Pain Care. The pain stops here.
Thank you very much to Advanced Pain Care for being part of the On Texas Football family and sponsoring our Wednesday live stream. All right, we got some questions. I'm going to try to hit these a little rapid fire here and try to get to as many of them as we can. Syracuse Horn says, CJ, which running backs on our radar are difference makers? Since Baxter, we haven't really seen that. It's been 3 years.
It's a good question. Look, we've heard a lot of positives about Trey Wisner and his development from the spring into the summer. If he's your number one, we've talked about it. Is it something to worry about? To me, I say no shot because, look, he's a 1,000-yard rusher a year ago as a guy that split a lot of runs. He had big-time moments against Oklahoma. He obviously dominated the game against Texas A&M as well. If that's your floor, you're looking pretty good. Now, who jumps up and makes that leap next to him? Is it a baby rhino Jarrett Gibson? Is it Christian Clark, who's bounced back from a torn Achilles very quickly? The one guy I'll say not to sleep on is James Simon. He's physically ready to go, and right now I think he's about 208, 210. I have to imagine he's going to have a pretty long career for the Longhorns. I love the mental makeup of everything with James Simon. Comes from a father who coached college football for a long time, specifically at the running back spot. That's a guy I'm looking out for. But one of those two sophomores have to make a leap.
Yep, I like that. Colby, thank you, Syracuse, for the question. Colby says, Rod, who do you dislike more, Oklahoma or Aggie? That's easy. And by the way, this is not universal among my former teammates and lifetime Longhorns. Everybody, I think Casey Studdard told me he couldn't stand the Aggies. He hated the Aggies more. I hate Oklahoma more. It's easy for me. I was almost an Aggie. I have friends that are Aggies. I've got, really my former teammates in high school that ended up being Aggies. Teron Woolridge was an Aggie. Keith Joseph was an Aggies are too close to me. I go to work with Aggies. I live around Aggies. So I can't hate them. It's just, I don't like them. I feel bad for them. You know what I mean? But I don't hate the Aggies. It's weird that way. I hate the Sooners. I do. I have a serious disdain, and it is a personal one. I don't like them at all. And they beat me a lot. Unfortunately, so the Aggies they beat me once. I'm 3-1 versus the Aggies. I'm like, and that was that was extenuating circumstances. The Sooners, not only they beat me, they won national titles and Big 12 titles. They changed the course of my career because they beat us. So I hate those son of a Yeah.
No, but to your point, Rod, I think for fans and for players, I think it depends on what era you were in school for or in your formative years. I know, Ricky Williams and he's not alone. I know a lot of guys that played at Texas in the 90s have a lot more disdain for A&M than they do OU. Why? A&M was running the Southwest Conference at that point, and Oklahoma wasn't very good. So, I think it all depends on age and what era you're more familiar with. For me, mainly because we talked about this on the live stream last night, Rob, because I lost a bet based on the outcome of the 2001 game and had to sing Boomer Sooner in the school cafeteria. For me, it's Oklahoma.
I'm sorry. That's our fault. That's me. That's on me too.
And I've had enough friends that have gone. I know enough Aggies. The jokes write themselves. I mean, it's
exactly. They literally had goats with their recruits, like baby goats. I thought that was I thought somebody was making some graphic democracy. I was like, no, that's real. I was like, that's not real. He's like, no, it's real. I was like, that's not real. They're like, no, it's real. So I was like, okay. The jokes do write themselves.
You almost have to you almost don't have to attack the Aggies because you're like, man, at some point they'll screw this up themselves.
Did you see the video game? The gamer who had the video game graphic of their yell leaders like dancing on the sideline, and he's a gamer, so he plays the game like for a living basically. And he was so upset by the basically that in the game that the Aggies have their yell leaders like dance. That's like a highlight, the dancing on the sideline. He was upset by it, and I feel him. I don't want. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see it.
It was hilarious to watch A&M go into the SEC, and then like clips of midnight yell practice would get out, and to see like LSU fans and Ole Miss fans be like, "What in the hell is going on there?" And to be like for those first few years, be like, "They're y'all's problem now. Y'all got to deal with it."
Exactly. Now y'all understand. Now y'all understand why we mind.
You talk about the cultural differences from Texas A&M to what's going on in LSU. I mean, two different worlds.
Man. That's a great point. Yeah, and Brian Kelly's trying to bridge those worlds.
I don't know what specifically happened. Other than A&M made cups to commemorate like their win over that 9 overtime game or whatever it was against LSU.
Yeah.
I don't know what all took place between the end of the 2011 season and Texas getting to the SEC. Well, once I got caught up like last summer, man, there's a lot of hate, just outright vitriol from how LSU people feel about the Aggies.
Yeah, because nationally people want to – because this is the problem. LSU doesn't have a rival. They don't.
Yeah.
Like LSU is a great football program without a rival. It's weird.
Yeah.
And A&M doesn't have a rival. Like they don't have a primary rival. Like they say they're our rival, but our primary rival is Oklahoma. They're a side piece for us. And they don't want to be our side piece anymore. And I get that. Who wants to be a side piece? Some of y'all do. But you get my point. And that's why a lot of people nationally are like, oh, that makes perfect sense. But LSU's like, man, we won national titles. We've had guys go number one over. Man, hell no. Y'all not in our league. And everybody
Alabama.
Yes, everybody wants their rival to be in their league. Everybody wants to outkick their coverage when it comes to their rival. Like, we don't mind Oklahoma being our rival because Oklahoma's a historically great football program. It may be better than Texas when you look at it and compare it, right? So we don't mind that being our – but the Aggies, our rival, please. Like, they haven't accomplished enough. That's not enough national titles, not enough cachet, not enough prodigious clout, none of that. And that's why the Aggies are a rival. I'm not saying, but they're not our primary. They're a side piece, and they hate that. They hate when I call them that too. But y'all are. You're a side piece. Y'all know that. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
It's kind of like, Texas leaving the Big 12. Look, being a kid that I grew up with the Southwest Conference, the Southwest Conference was still alive and kicking when I was growing up and started watching football. So, like, there's a part of me that's like, oh, man, you don't play Baylor or Tech anymore. But, like, Texas making that transition, people ask you questions like, who do you hope Texas plays out of the Big 12 schools? And you really think about it, I'm like, I'm good. You get Arkansas and A&M back on the schedule, still got OU. I'm good. Go play, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida. I'm good. If I don't have to go to Lubbock ever again for a football game, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
If I can just pass through Waco on my way north, it's fine.
Oh gosh, Waco. I'm glad I don't have to go back to Waco. I'm always just passing through now. All right, Nathan with a question here. Super chat. Thank you, Nathan, for the super chat. Says, if you had to pick one 2026 recruit Texas was guaranteed to get, who would you choose and why? This is a good question.
This is a really good. This could go one of 7 different ways, probably. Do you go John Turntine? Do you go Felix Ojo? Do you go Malachi Lee on the offensive line? Do you go Devon Benjamin in the back secondary? There's probably 4 guys up in the front 7 that you can make a case for. Xavier Griffin, F or fake is one. I mean, look, you're calling it out. Xavier Griffin, he's a stud linebacker, 100%. My guy's Lamar Brown. If I could just pick him up and drop him into the class, that's the number one guy for me. If you've yet to see his huddle this year, he would be the number one interior offensive lineman, and then flip it over, and he is the number one defensive lineman on the interior. He's that athletic. He's that freaky. I think he's got a super high ceiling as a 3 tech at the next level. And then you'd be able to stack a Justice Terry last year with a Lamar Brown. And hey, you just had Jalen Brewster on campus this afternoon as well, who is right now a top 10, top 15 player in the country, all on the defensive line. That's how you stack those Georgia and Alabama level defensive fronts if you're able to win those big recruitments. But I love myself some Lamar Brown. I think he's got as high ceiling as anybody in this class.
Love it.
Jalen Lott.
Yep.
For me, because
Tough admission by me.
Part of no, you're right, CJ. You're right, because you want to take, if you can get elite like NFL caliber line of scrimmage talent,
you take it.
You take that and you don't complain. You take that 6 days a week and twice on Sunday. That is what it is. I would take Jalen Lott because in a class with Jalen Lott and Jermaine Bishop, you've got a lot of margin for error in terms of, so one of them playing receiver, one of them playing corner. I don't know. You're wherever it works out for both of them. If you get both guys in the class, you're gonna have two really good football players, two difference makers on the perimeter. So, I'm a line of scrimmage guy. I love line of scrimmage talent, but man, it's intoxicating to think about a Texas roster with Jalen Lott and Jermaine Bishop.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good question, Nathan. Great question. Thank you for the chat. Lou Dog says, guys, how are the backup quarterbacks looking? You still got Matthew Caldwell now in the mix with, of course, like I said, I love me some Trey Owens. I'm a Trey Owens fan. I think you just have those guys competing for the backup spot pretty much, right? Yeah. It's open. It's nobody coming to. That's one of the few positions that is still, I think, open going into training camp.
I agree.
It's like 4 of them, and that's one of them.
We keep hearing. Yeah, go. Sorry, CJ. Go ahead.
I was going to say, even beyond that, I heard great things about KJ Lacey coming in the summer as well. So I know he might not necessarily be in that quote unquote battle right away with the Caldwell and a Trey Owens, but in terms of his long-term development, I know folks are looking ahead to what's coming in next year, but I love KJ Lacey. I think that's a kid that just gets the ball to where it needs to go in any fashion, way, or form. That's going to be one that I keep an eye on as well, because I do think he had a really solid spring that a lot of folks might have been sleeping on coming out of it.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, anytime anybody on the OTF staff, when we're comparing notes or what are you hearing from so and so, it always seems to come back to something in the realm of KJ Lacey being as good or better than the staff thought in terms of just his mental readiness and mental preparedness to be a quarterback at this level.
Yeah. No, I've heard I heard some good things too when I was on campus for pro days about KJ Lacey. I'm with you. I think they like his maturity for a young player, especially at the quarterback position. All right, let's thank our final sponsor of the evening, our friends over at South Point Dodge before we end things tonight. And you can score an easy extra point this season when you get to the point with our friends over at South Point Dodge. And right now is a great chance for you to save big over at South Point Dodge. They have over 600 vehicles in stock right now, including the all-new 2025 Ram 1500. Get the real deal today and drive away in an all-new Ram proven to last. Plus, you get employee incentive pricing. That's right. You pay what the employees pay right now at South Point Dodge. It's their fancy way of saying you get the employee discount, and that's the real deal. And you won't find a better deal than at South Point Dodge. Whether you need a car, truck, something new, something used, maybe it's a trade-in that you are looking for, our friends at South Point Dodge are Austin's automotive everything. You can go see them off of I-35 in South Austin in person, or you can go online at southpointdodge.com and you can go see their fantastic inventory there as well. Get to the point with our friends over at South Point Dodge, southpointdodge.com. All right, a couple of other questions before we get to the end of things here, guys. Lisa says, hi, Lisa says, hey, Rod, followed you from Lamar high school days. I appreciate that, Lisa. Proud class of 79. That's right. Now the Texans used to be the racial slurs, but it's okay. Any upcoming players we need to watch from Houston? Maybe CJ can help me out with this, and Jeff can as well. Who's from H-Town? What players from H-Town should Texas be looking out for? I mean, between DFW and H-Town, that's pretty much what this roster, 50% of this roster is DFW and H-Town. Pretty much.
Yeah, there's a few down there. The first one that comes to mind is Kosi Okpala, the linebacker out of Mady Creek. I think he's a stud. He's coming in next weekend for an official visit. Texas, we broke the news earlier. Paris Melvin from Cy Springs is coming in for an official visit next week as well. On the younger side, Kennedy Brown, I believe from, what is it, Kingwood? I'm not sure where that is in relation to Houston and downtown, but I don't speak fluent Houston suburbs and stuff like that. But he's a talented offensive lineman, and Texas has certainly hosted him for a number of visits. So I like him. Brian Berg, you say Chase Calicut out of North Shore. He actually just released a Final Four that did not include the Longhorns, and I think that's more in terms because Texas feels pretty good about Devon Benjamin. We'll see where that goes. Oregon and Washington still remain. And, of course, Paris Melvin being recruited as a safety. That'll be really interesting how it goes. Aero Kits 27, how many airports are there in Houston? I don't know. Don't ask me that.
I mean, unless you count like your private airfields, there's two, right?
Two main ones.
Hobby.
Yeah, but the one with the H in the abbreviated name isn't Hobby, and that just is insane to me.
Oh, I love it. That's an all-time great story about CJ in the wrong airport. All-time great one. All right. How about this one? Ben says, is there a world where we get Ojo, Turntine, and Lee?
I don't see it.
I don't see it.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Whoever would be last to commit in that scenario, I think would probably see the writing on the wall. Like, all right, especially if early playing time is a big deal. Like, it's a pretty crowded path to the field at that.
Are they all 5 stars? Those guys?
Look, I think Ojo is. I think Turntine is. And if Malachi Lee is not, I'd be shocked.
Okay. Yeah. I bet that rarely happened. I don't know if that's ever happened.
Hey, we're right. CJ, can you? I guess I'm not caught up. What is you went to the wrong airport at some point?
Oh no!
Oh boy,
it's a great way to end this live stream there on this story.
Yeah, it was basically that. So Jeff, going to Detroit or going to Ann Arbor for the Texas-Michigan game last year, I booked crazy times for my flights. It's either at midnight coming back or midnight taking off. Like I like flying in the dead of sleep because I fly on every plane, right? Or I sleep on every plane. I booked a flight out of Hobby to Michigan at 6:30 in the morning. I take off from Austin at midnight, drive all the way through. I get there about 3 o'clock. I take a quick nap in the airport. And about 4:30 when the TSA lines open up, I walk up to, the TSA lady. I kind of give her my boarding pass, scan my thing. She kind of hesitates and kind of looks at me weird. I'm still sleepy-eyed because I had just set an alarm to wake up for my nap. Otherwise, I might still be on that bench, right? But I look at her and I'm like, what's the deal? Like, can I go take a nap in there now? She goes, I don't think your flight's here. I'm like, well, it says takes off in about an hour and a half. Like, what are you talking about? She goes, what's the number or what are the letters on your takeoff flight? I say, IAH, Hobby. She goes, oh, no, you're at the wrong airport. You need to go to George Bush International. I'm like, how far is that? And she goes, oh, it's about 30 miles. Yeah. I wasn't going 100, but I was going pretty darn close at 4:30 in the morning, flying up the Hobby or to George Bush. I just threw my card, took a photo of where it was. Yeah, here it is. I made it though. Traveling isn't hard. You're just an idiot. And well, today CJ, is an idiot. I know that's kind of hard to believe, but first off, bone to pick with whoever picked IAH as the airport in Houston. That's not Hobby. Hobby. That's ridiculous. So we made it to George Bush. Flight leaves in about 30 minutes. We made it. We're gonna be all right. See you guys in Detroit. Good.
Wow. Thank God it was that early in the morning, number one. Because as you figured out, one airport is south side of H-Town and one is north side of H-Town. Yeah. And if it was traffic, there's no way you'd have made it, but no traffic, brother. That was that was great. Oh, that was classic.
Yeah. Traveling. Man. I said it in the video. Traveling's easy if you're not an idiot. I'm an idiot. I forgot pants to the SEC championship game. It was 20 degrees outside.
That's how you know that's why you need a woman in your life, either a mom or a good woman, because she won't let you do that kind of stuff. She'll be checking on you too much. Like, baby, I'm gonna see you like you wouldn't do it. Trust me, I'm an idiot too. But I get saved a lot of time by a good woman in my life. Either my wife or my mom has done that too. So you're good, CJ. You're good, brother. You're good.
Don't feel bad, CJ. 1 year for Texas OU, I went up because I had some radio stuff to do. I forgot to pack underwear for a Texas OU trip.
Exactly.
I mean, that's not as bad as going to the wrong airport, but it's
Yeah, no, dude, I've done stuff like that. Trust me, I played for the Lions. I did that a couple of times. Like, just did dumb stuff as relates to the airport, just because I wasn't used to traveling as much. And hey, it happened. All right, thank you, CJ, for sharing. We can't top that, so we're gonna end the show. Thank you very much, all of our sponsors. Thank you to Von Lane, vonlane.com. Use that code OTF25 for $20 off your first ride with Von Lane. Thank you as well to South Point Dodge, southpointdodge.com. Thank you to Flat Creek Estate Winery, flatcreekestate.com, and Advanced Pain Care as well for their ongoing support of On Texas football. Thank you as well to you guys for all your participation, the questions, the comments, the super chats. If we missed any of your questions, we apologize about that. Please direct them to the gentleman at Coffee and Football bright and early tomorrow morning. Bobby and Jerry will be there at 8:15 for you. And then we also have the winning drive. Coach Bob Shipley, CJ Vogel, and myself will be joining you for the winning drive. That'll be at 3:15 tomorrow if we missed any of your questions that way. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes. Matthew's the real MVP. We can't do it without him. And for Matthew and for Jeff and for CJ, I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.
And thank you, Cohen Brown.
Thank you.